Hello YouTube, and welcome to a State of the Channel 2017 video here as we look at X-Plane 11 in the background. And I'm going to address the lack of content on my channel, and this is just due to a confluence of real-life events that have been going on over the course of the past 6-8 weeks. I was sick at the end of 2016 and throughout January with a cold that turned into a sinus infection that lingered around for several weeks and just kind of wiped me out. I wasn't really able to do much in terms of new video content creation. On top of that, we've gotten a PlayStation 4 Pro for Christmas, and we've been playing some action-adventure RPG games. And let me know in the comment section down below if you'd like to see me add that content to our channel. You'll certainly be seeing it with Mass Effect Andromeda. It is a spacey game, but up until this point, I've primarily been space sims and flight sims, as well as joystick and HOTAS peripherals for those games. If you're not comfortable with me expanding it into more general gaming area of direction, then the other options is I can put that content onto a second channel that either myself or my wife has. But it'll be me, my wife, and the dog on the couch opining as we go through playing games like Dragon Age Inquisition, Skyrim, Tomb Raider, Assassin's Creed, Nathan Drake Collection, those type of games. So let me know in the comment section down below. Additionally to that, had a friend that passed away, and it took a few days to put together a collection, getting money together from gaming buddies to send flowers to the family, which they did get, and we're very appreciative of. Thanks to all of the old BSGO crew who chipped in for that, and then any excesses went into a donation to the American Diabetes Foundation in Marcus's Barrios's name. So was dealing with that. And then went on vacation for a week out to Colorado, ski vacation, came back last week and basically spent a week getting caught up on day job stuff. And then finally, the straw that broke the camel's back, as it were, and that is more technical difficulties with FSX. So FSX has decided that some days it'll see my CH throttle quadrant with CH device or control manager, and some days it won't. Why it does some days and why it doesn't other days, I have no freaking idea. I've deleted config files and rebound everything, and I'm done. This makes doing videos for FS Passengers and Air Hauler and all of that relatively difficult. So I've been waiting for somebody to come out with an FS Passengers, FS Captain-like add-on for X-Plane. A couple of attempts have been made, but it doesn't seem like anything has ever come to fruition. The closest is X Passengers, but it's really designed for doing virtual airline stuff, as opposed to more of either a light airline sim, air taxi company type thing with FS Passengers, or a mission generation type system that you'll see in FS Captain. So I want to try to create a product that will appeal to both those sets of customers, and I've already started work on it about 6 weeks ago. Hence another reason why you haven't seen a lot of new video content on my channel, is I've been going through learning the ropes of X-Plane development for X-Plane 11. I plan to have at least a product demo to show off by the time X-Plane 11 is released. I think right now, if it sticks to the release date of March 31st, I'm targeting X-Plane 11. It may be backwards compatible, at least certain features of it with 10.5. I'll have to see where the demand and things like that are, because the way that 10.5 handles nav aids and the runway database and the airport database versus X-Plane 11 is a little bit different. So there's going to be a little bit more time and effort involved to support 10.5, and even if I do support 10, I'm likely to only extend support for that product for a year after the release of my product. Whereas for X-Plane 11, I will support the product for the life of X-Plane 11. When X-Plane 12 rolls out, there probably will be an upgrade fee at that point in time. How I plan to price my product is going to be based on what I call the MPI, the Movie Price Index. That is the price of me to go out in the evening to see a movie with a bag of popcorn and a soda. That is going to be the price of the product, which right now is going to be about $30. And it'll probably go on sale for an initial release offering of $15 to $20, just to kind of get out there and generate interest and buzz and all of that crap. One of the things I am not going to do is fall onto this bandwagon of early access and beta bullshit. Before I release it, I will make sure that the basic functionality is there and about 85% of where I think it should be, and where I really need that last 10 to 15% is to help dial in numbers like is the mission generation system acceptable? Are you earning money at too fast or too slow a rate? How do I calculate passenger full capabilities? Should I tweak it a little bit more, a little bit less? And that is something that you need a lot of player feedback from in order to kind of dial in those numbers. So when I'm to that point, then I will release the product probably as an initial offering for the discounted price for 3 or 4 weeks to figure that out before it will go to its normal $30 everyday price for the remainder of this year. Now, I plan to also do some expansion packs because there are certain features and scenarios that I would love to have into the initial release build, but I understand that those are going to take time to compile, and they're really something that it lends itself more to being there once the core product is developed and out there. In particular, I would like to have the ability for people to fly historical routes based on, things like Pan Am in the 1960s or TWA in the 1960s. So I might add on scenarios and things like that, extensions as you were, and those will be priced via the Dunkin' Donuts Cup of Coffee Price Index. That is the price of an extra large cup of coffee from Dunkin' Donuts with cream and sugar, plus transaction fees, which is 30 cents plus 3% roughly. To give you an idea, today with tax, the price of a cup of coffee, extra large cup of coffee from Dunkin' Donuts is $3.25. So that means the add-ons for that later this year would run $3.99 for those different eras, and I would develop those on an ongoing basis, hopefully releasing a new pack essentially every quarter or so. And again, the reason why I charge money for stuff like that is it does take time and effort to sit down, compile, and get that information not only collected and together, but also input it into the game into a format that it can read, write, and so on and so forth, and making sure you don't break anything else in the process. Now, I had a working proof of concept that I chose to work with one framework initially to learn the ropes, and then got to the point where I suddenly realized when I needed to start taking user input that framework doesn't support user input, and went back and talked to some other people who have developed in the community before. And the word that I got back was I needed to use either C or Python. Well, the problem with C is maintaining build environments for Linux, OS X, and Windows. Meanwhile, I could do it in Python and write once, run everywhere. So I'm choosing the latter, especially since this is primarily a CRUD app, which is create, read, update, and delete, interacting with a database. Also, Python and SQLite play nicely together, and I have extensive experience developing with Python in the past. So that seems to be the logical choice. There's nothing computational heavy that should be going on there. Of course, I'll have to decide how to get it to recognize what you're doing, or whether I want to calculate certain things or look for certain aspects every frame, every so many frames, things like that could impact performance on the game. And those would be features and stuff that I would release after I get to that beta point where I'm convinced that 85% of it works and it's where it needs to be for release. Scenarios that I tend on having initially is to have a airline captain scenario, which would much be like a FS captain, where you're starting out as a junior pilot in a regional, can fly regional airliners and work your way up. Doing it that way. There'll probably be what I'm going to dub the Lucky Larry scenario, where your Uncle Larry has passed away and left you a Beechcraft Baron or a C-90. I haven't decided, probably the C-90. And his friend the Senator has granted you an Essential Air Services route. And there will be events that will come up as you fly so many missions, like on the Lucky Larry scenario, maybe every nth mission, the Senator comes back to you and says, there's this bill coming up that they want to deregulate this. I need some money to spread around to my friends in D.C. here to make sure that you can keep your Essential Air Services route. And if you don't give them the money, maybe your subsidy rates go down, so you're earning less mission money per flight. Or maybe you get the opportunity to fly a congressional delegation from point A to point B, and they end up liking you a little bit more from hobnobbing, and they increase your subsidy amount, and certain things like that to kind of throw into the mix that isn't necessarily in, say, an FS Passengers type video, or not video, but add-on. What I'm not going to be creating is Air Hauler. I'm not going to create something that substantial, that in-depth. I feel it should be a product that if you only have time to fly 2 hours a month, you should just be able to pick up and use, and the scenarios, and of course the ability to create custom scenarios for yourself would be included in that as well. So those are the things that I'm looking at creating and adding into this. Next up is going to be copy protection, and there's two methods that I'm considering on doing this, and I would like some feedback on what you have to say out there. One of them would be a traditional access activation key methodology, and my idea would be that it would keep track at every 25th activations or 25 activations. What it would do is on the 26th, it would automatically generate a new key and email it to whatever the email address you use to buy the product. So if somebody does spread it out there far and wide for piracy reasons, as soon as 25 people register it, those other 24 people who pirated it will essentially be SOL, but you, being a legitimate buyer of the product, would just be basically given a new key automatically. That would be one way that I would handle it, and then if you did need to reinstall it multiple times and stuff like that, it shouldn't be that much of a hassle if you update computers. Or, you know, like me, you have X-Plane 11 on a Mac and a PC, you know, you'd be able to do it up to 25 times. I think that's more than reasonable. The other method would be to keep the downloads locked behind basically a forum that has a payware. You pay to access the forums, and you can get the files from there. Not only that, but that's the one and only place that technical support would come from. If you try to ask me for technical support on my YouTube channel or in Discord or TeamSpeak or Twitch chat or something like that, I'm just going to post a link to the forums and say if you've purchased a copy, please go and ask your question there, and be relatively a big asshole about that at that point. I might be a little bit more forgiving on asking technical questions in streams and YouTube comments if I go the key activation route. So something to keep in mind there, because I think that I would have to keep it pretty much, technical questions only go to the forum. So those are a couple of ideas that I am considering there. Let me know your feedback in the comment section down below. Because this is where I'm going to get into the rant about the flight sim developer community as a whole. It is notoriously for, quote, bad business practices and bullshit. And I'm just going to address this off the top of my head, or off the top here. All right? I can be the biggest asshole on the face of this planet when I need to be. And it's one of those things. I like software development. I like doing new things. But God damn it, my time is worth money. And that's one of the reasons why I charge for this. If you're good at something, don't do it for free. And the way I feel about it is, if you derive entertainment value, including many, many hours of flight simming, joy, and wonderment about it, great. It should be worth buying me a movie with a popcorn and a soda. If you like flying in these different eras, it should be worth buying me a cup of coffee for the time it took for me to sit down and get that data into a usable format for the add-on. All right? That's how this should kind of work this day and age. All right? That's just how I see it. Support my coffee habit. Support going entertainment value. Now, I'm not going to lie. I don't know how many units this is going to sell. Conservatively, I'm going to say probably around 2,000 to 3,000. You're like, well, you add that up, that's quite a bit of money. Yeah, well, to some people it is. Now, I'm lucky enough to be in a situation where I started a software company, I sold it, I bought a farm, and that farm rent provides enough income that I can afford to do this and take the time and effort. That's not to say that I'm not going to do things incorrectly. I'm going to try my best to deliver a product that has as few bugs as possible. Now, there's no guarantee that I can support every third-party aircraft free and payware out there, because there's an extensive library out there, especially freeware for X-Plane 11. I will try my utmost to support most of those. But again, that is where that $30 could be going. That could be $30 that I use to then go buy a flying JSIM 727. Actually, I already have that. Or his 732, actually, I already have that one too. Or the DC-8, no, I have that one. Coronado's library, to make sure that Coronado Aircraft does work with my product. That all cost money. And it's like my YouTube channel. I monetize my YouTube channel for no other reason than to cover my cost in buying joystick and peripheral hardware. I have just about broken even. I have not made a profit off my YouTube channel in 4 years. I've broken even on the amount of hardware that I've purchased over the years to review. That's all I ever cared about it to do. That's the only reason I've monetized this channel, is to be able to, whenever this new Flight Sim yoke that's coming out in June, be able to plop down the $170 I think they're wanting for it and try it out and see it. The advantage there is I don't get given shit for free from the industry, nor do I want it to be given to me. I want to go out there with money that I've earned through doing a YouTube channel or earned through doing my consulting work and bring it home. I've spent my money on it and tell you whether or not I think it was worth my money and therefore worth your money. Something kind of similar to here. I'm willing to work with you. If you find a bug, I want to try to find the bug. That's not to say that sometimes I won't run into a situation where you're doing something or there's something on your system that simply I can't replicate. I'll be honest with you when this is happening and say, okay, this is happening to you. I have no earthly idea why. I mean, this has happened to me before in software development where people in the wild and out there in production will run across hitting a series of buttons that you could never conceive of actually doing in a test environment. You'd be like, how the hell did you do that? Been there, done that, and gone, what the, okay. So, I'll try to deliver a product that is as bug-free as I can make it, but again, I'm ultimately also dependent upon what's available to me by third parties. In this case, the Python interface from Sandy Barber, as well as through X-Plane development SDK abilities through Lamia Research. So I can only use the tools that they give me. And of course, anytime that we're relying on a third-party plugin like the Python interface, I wish I didn't have to do that, but that means going the C route, which has its own complications, which I, having maintained multiple distributions for multiple platforms in C before, was a pain in the ass when I was doing it as part of a team. One-man shop for right now. I don't think that that's the route to go. That's why I'm going the Python route, for better or worse. There could be potentially problems down the line with that. I'll address it if and when that comes. But this is just kind of what I'm thinking out loud, and I don't want to necessarily get into the worst practices that are out there in the add-on market for flight simulator crap. But you have to understand, as a cottage industry supporting a very niche product and niche market, and I will try my best, but ultimately at the end of the day, I can probably spend an hour or two a day on the forums to deliver tech support and look into things. If you want more products, developed add-on after that, there is a limit to time. At the same time, I don't want to be taking your money and then, completely ignoring you. I don't believe in that methodology of doing business. I think that's bullshit as well. And the flight sim community, and then there's the other side of it, is the militant policing from some companies' customers on certain forums and stuff like that. That's one of the reasons why I would prefer to run my own forums in order to gain that kind of support and stuff like. Because I don't want to name names here, but there's a certain aircraft in the FSX P3D World group that their users are militant about policing of whether or not you bought the product for FSX or prepared. And I think that's relatively bullshit as well. But that's the toxicity and bullshit that is the flight sim community and as a whole. And I'm fully aware of what I'm getting into. I'm not going to be able to create a product that's going to be everything to everyone. There are going to be people who are going to hate me because I tell them no. Well, guess what? I'm going to do what I think should be done, the way I think it should be done. And if you don't like it, you don't have to buy the damn product. You don't have to buy me a movie ticket and a popcorn and a soda. You don't have to buy me a cup of coffee from Dunkin' Donuts. Okay? This is just how I see things. This is how I'm laying it out. And, you can take it or leave it. But I'm being upfront. I will try my utmost to answer questions and things like that. I will be putting together a new website here in the coming days to help support this. But from that point forward, it's one of those things of, hey, I'll try to do my utmost and my best, but sometimes there may be answers that you don't like, and then there are the breaks, folks. So kind of keep that in mind. But I like to kind of be upfront and honest. I like people to know exactly where I'm coming from when I say I'm going to do this, because I'm the type of person that I don't like to have to do stuff like this. But by God, if nobody else will, I will step up and do it. And I've waited way too long for somebody else to do it. I have the skills. I don't have to rely on this to feed my family and provide a roof over my head. It is in very much, I guess you could say, I have that leisure ability to do what I want. And that's exactly what I'm going to do here. I'm going to create the add-on that I've been wanting to play for the past 5 years, and I hope other people do as well. If you have some great ideas and suggestions, I am certainly open to them. But we'll see. And that's basically all that I can be. So, with that, thank you very much for watching. Be sure to like, subscribe, and bitch me out in the comments section down below. And looking forward to it, oddly, strangely enough. Oh, if I don't get back to comments in a couple of days, just keep in mind, I can answer YouTube comments, or I can be working on development stuff. And some days I can't do both. Again, I will try to get to things. I will try to earmark out an hour a day, probably in the mornings, to keep up on things a little bit better than I have over the course of the past few months, and certainly a few weeks. But, yeah, there we go. Thank you very much for watching. See you next time.